Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Analyze This. Today I want to talk about some recent Star Wars news. There's a couple of interesting headlines out there. Quite a bit has happened over the past couple of weeks, and 2024 is already off to a hot start for the franchise. I'm not sure it's all great, but it is pretty interesting. We did get a couple of cool announcements, like the Mandalorian and Grogu film, and Season 2 of Ahsoka was announced. And then on the other hand, you have some new drama regarding the Rey movie. Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, the director for the movie, came under fire due to an old quote that resurfaced. Then the newest bit of drama comes from a rumor that apparently the movie got canceled or is getting delayed indefinitely. And honestly, being a Star Wars fan at this point is just not fun anymore. I'm trying to get excited for things like the Mando movie and Season 2 of Ahsoka, but it's very difficult to do so when there's just constant controversy and discourse within both the fan base and within this company and franchise as a whole. Will Star Wars have a successful year in 2024? There's still plenty of time to answer that question, but right now it's off to a very shaky up and down start. Let's talk about it. I want to start off with the Rey movie, specifically with the controversy around Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. It's important to talk about this because the record needs to be set straight. First off, who is Sharmeen? She is a celebrated Pakistani-American journalist, filmmaker, and activist. She is best known for 2 award-winning documentaries that confront inequality in Pakistan. One of the documentaries focused on acid attacks on women, and another one addressed honor killings. Her work was so influential that there were actual changes made to laws related to honor killings in Pakistan. And thus in 2021, the government of Pakistan awarded her one of the highest civilian honors, and Times Magazine recognized her as one of its top 100 most influential people in the world. The fan base freaked out recently because of a quote that resurfaced from the 2015 Women in the World Summit. There's one part of her quote that went viral, and it was the part where she said that she likes to make men feel uncomfortable through her art. Again, this was from 2015 in a quote that has nothing to do with Star Wars. Rather, it was about her work in documentaries and going after men for their treatment of women, specifically in regards to the acid attacks and honor killings. Now, I'll admit, when I first heard about this quote, I did get upset and roll my eyes and said, oh boy, here we go again. I just really want good Star Wars storytelling. I don't want political controversy sprinkled all over the place. But this misunderstanding of this quote is just another example of how crazy things get on the internet and doesn't really need to be that way. And now I'm going to bring up the most recent news related to the Rey movie and then give my take on this whole thing. It appears some unreliable sources have announced recently that the Rey movie was delayed indefinitely or canceled altogether. People have been thinking this is true since the Mandalorian and Grogu movie was announced, and that supposedly this movie is the first of a slate of Star Wars movies coming out in the future, that the Mando and Grogu movie is going to lead the way. Part of the rumor also states that the screenwriter, Stephen Knight, is having issues with Lucasfilm. Apparently, it's a battle of creative differences between the two parties. Knight reportedly made a script and sent it over to Lucasfilm, and they sent it back to him with so many notes that he basically had to start over. Because of this, there is growing concern that he may move on from the film because he needs more time to focus on the screenplay for his Peaky Blinders movie. Officials at Lucasfilm have reportedly denied these rumors. This Rey movie is a mess. Yes, some of it has to do with the fan base and these wannabe media sites that want to turn fake news or speculation into legit stories. And I don't have beef with Sharmeen because I now know the context of this quote. But that doesn't mean I am going to sit here and say I'm really excited for the Rey movie, because I'm not. I really am not a fan of this. I truly hope this movie is going to be good and have a thrilling story that perhaps can redeem Rey, if not for us, but for Daisy Ridley, who doesn't deserve all the shit she gets from people, especially when all the issues with the sequel trilogy come from those that literally wrote it and produced it and directed it. And I do understand people's initial concerns about having an activist being hired to make a Star Wars movie. Like, it's interesting that Disney just will continue to do things that trigger half of the fan base. And Disney has done things to double down on being a progressive liberal company, which I personally have no issue with that stance. I'm cool with equal representation in these films. This franchise needs to get back to making good content though, and whether that's a woman being in the lead role or a woman being the director for the first time like Sharmeen is, there is some historical things happening here, but this just needs to be a good movie. That's all I'm asking for. Now here's an accurate quote from Sharmeen about directing a Star Wars movie that I do kind of have an issue with. This is what she said. I'm thrilled about the project because I feel what we're about to create is something very special. We're in 2024 now, and it's about time that we had a woman come forward to shape a story in a galaxy far, far away. It's amazing to see how quickly we forget about all the contributions from women in the past with this franchise. Marcia Lucas, Carrie Fisher, Natalie Portman, Carrie Beck, even Kathleen Kennedy, Daisy Ridley, Deborah Chow, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Katie Sackhoff, just to name some of the more prominent names throughout the entire history of this franchise, of this company. It's like, you know, in this generation today, we forget about people and things that happened in the past, even though things weren't perfect and, you know, women weren't still on the same level as men and whatnot, even 30, 40, 50 years ago. I'm not trying to sit here and erase the struggles and the issues and of inequality that have happened, but damn, there's been some awesome stuff that has happened, you know, with women in Star Wars and leading roles and things like that. And again, I understand she is the first woman directing a Star Wars film. This is big. So that's awesome. I just hope it's going to be a good movie because this is about a character and it stems from the sequel trilogy, which was literally the worst period of Star Wars. And this is what they want to come back with. It's just not a really good idea. So I just wish the political side of things would simmer down and that we could just go back into making good content that everybody enjoys. It would also be nice if fans, content creators, and these media sites weren't just a bunch of idiots, because everybody's at fault here. The company has had some issues, of course, with the things they've been making and the decisions they've made, but also all these other people outside of the company that are related to this fan base and this franchise have not made things easy either. So I just want less drama and bullshit and just going back to being a geek, being a nerd about everything with Star Wars, even in Disney's Star Wars era. Now onto some better news. Lucasfilm has announced that we are getting a Mandalorian movie. It will simply be called The Mandalorian and Grogu. Production is set to begin this year. Jon Favreau will direct, Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni will produce. We don't have a specific release date or any confirmed details on what the story will be about, but they did say that this movie will lead Lucasfilm's feature development slate. So this movie will come first. It will lead the others in the pack, such as Filoni's movie, James Mangold's movie, and again, Sharmeen's Rey movie. The story is reportedly going to pick up where Season 2 left off. Din and Grogu are now working for the New Republic and will have to face the return of Thrawn, which is going to lead to the resurgence of what's left of the Empire. Lucasfilm has been targeting 2025 as the year to start bringing movies back. So I would assume this movie is made this year and releases next year, or perhaps we may have to wait a little bit longer now and production starts either later this year or next year, and then we get to see the film in 2026. I really hope they start working on this ASAP because Star Wars needs to make it back to the big screen, and I think bringing The Mandalorian to theaters will work. And they continue to change their release dates and what they're making, what's coming first, what's actually being made, what's coming second, third, and fourth down the road. They need to make a concise freaking plan already and actually stick with it. They keep changing that stuff too. That is also a little bit frustrating. And it would be cool if the plot of this movie was literally just about Mando and Grogu and an adventure with them. Maybe they're going to be helping the New Republic save Ahsoka and Sabine. But again, we don't have exact release dates, so maybe Season 2 of Ahsoka comes first. That's what I'm assuming. And at the same time, just at the end of the day, like I said, can we just have a Din and Grogu adventure? Season 3 completely took the focus off of them, especially with Din. And while I like the Bo-Katan arc, I just want to see more development for Din specifically. This guy has lost his ship, multiple weapons, and basically lost his own show in Season 3. Mando started off as a badass bounty hunter in Season 1. I'd feel pretty good watching a movie where, Din and Grogu get to go on an adventure that focuses on them specifically. Din could have some badass moments, Grogu can be cute, and also continue to develop his abilities into whatever significant character they want him to be going forward, and perhaps they will find an Imperial adversary to take down or something like that in this movie during their adventure. And I'm assuming Season 2 of Ahsoka will be coming first. It's always been speculated that Dave Filoni's movie would be the culmination of the Mandoverse, so I could see Filoni doing a Marvel-esque movie in which all the heroes eventually come together to take down Thrawn and the Empire once and for all. So maybe there's a significant thing going on with Mando and Grogu in their movie. Season 2, Ahsoka and Sabine maybe get free, or they learn something on that planet they're on, and so it'll, again, everything, the show and the movie will set the stage for what's coming in the culmination supposedly in Filoni's movie. And yes, I am happy to hear confirmation for season 2. I thought season 1 was pretty good. There's a lot more story to tell with those characters. I hope they explore more mythological elements of Star Wars, such as the Mortis gods and whatever they were hinting at with that final scene of Balin looking out into the distance at that source of light. I'd love to see more episodes in season 2. Ahsoka, Sabine, Shin, and Balin, they're all stuck on Peridea, and this is an ancient Sith planet. There's rock features that show the faces of the Mortis gods. We know Balin is searching for something out there. I do hope they recast Balin. I think Ray Stevenson did a great job, and I think that character, and Ray deserves that character to continue on because of how great of a job he did. And he's an interesting character, and there's so much more story left to tell with him. So this part of the season can showcase those 4 characters searching and doing things on Peridea as they're waiting for a way out or trying to find a way out. This is the perfect opportunity to add more mythological lore to Star Wars. Thrawn escapes, so we will also see more of him and his version of the Empire, and then you have Hera and Ezra, who will likely lead the New Republic in the fight against Thrawn, and also look for a way to bring Ahsoka and Sabine back home. And honestly, they are crazy if they don't allow for 10 to 12 episodes for season 2. But overall, I'm just excited to see more Ahsoka and more of that story. So to wrap up my thoughts, I like 2 out of these 3 headlines here. I'm pumped for the Mando movie and for the 2nd season of Ahsoka. I was never a fan of the Rey movie, and it has nothing to do with Sharmeen or Daisy Ridley. It's just not a movie that is needed. It's a detriment to the franchise since it comes from the worst era of Star Wars. Again, no personal beef with Sharmeen, but do we really need an activist directing a Star Wars movie? Are we doing this to make a great movie and to get Star Wars back on track, especially with the movie side of things? Or is Lucasfilm going to continue to go down the political route? I hope their main goal is to recapture the magic of Star Wars on the big screen. Don't give too much attention out there to the idiots that misinterpreted the quote, and also the content creators that just live for making super negative videos all the time with over-the-top clickbait thumbnails. I'm done with all the idiots, the annoying fans, and the goofy people making questionable decisions at Lucasfilm. Hopefully Lucasfilm can come up with a sustainable plan for the future, a plan that they stick with and not have to change up constantly like they've been doing. Well, what are your thoughts on all this news? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching the video. Go check out my channel and consider subscribing. You can also find my content on podcasting platforms. Just Google Analyze This Podcast. I'm also on X and TikTok, X at AnalyzeThis_YT, and TikTok at AnalyzeThis54_YT. Thanks again for watching, and take care.